So, diving into what really happened during the Christos mission and the Essene divide. So, obviously, if you found this video, you are digging in to what really happened and probably know that the Bible is a mixture of maybe 30% truth. So, this information was originally derived from the CDT plates, the templates from the 11th CDT plate, which would relate to the 11th Stargate in Newgrange, and the teachings from Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. But even though Mary Magdalene is circulating again in New Age, a lot of this is also deception. So a lot of those that say they're channeling Mary Magdalene are not really channeling Mary Magdalene. Because if you're really channeling Mary Magdalene, then you would be given the truth. And I see that no one is really giving accurate information about how to ascend, besides Ashe and Nadine and some information from Lisa Renee. So, because I have delved into the memories myself and have the template as a Magi Grail Queen myself, I have accessed through own gnosis and many tests the accurate information that was taught in the mystery schools. And I can tell you, very, very few people are teaching the real thing on this planet. And those that are usually silenced or sought out, captured. So here I am on my little YouTube channel, and I also speak some on TikTok. And I will continue to try to spread the truth of what actually happened and how to actually go about in this realization process and gnosis. Okay? So excuse me one second. Okay, so your power lies in your ability to feel. And rage, suppressed rage, is the number one thing, especially amongst women, that is suppressing our power. And because this emotion and the depth of suffering on this planet and what we have all been through is so overwhelming, when one begins to feel this, many check out, many don't get to this place. So, reclaiming our sovereignty, there are many people that talk about this, but don't actually know how to actualize it. And maybe you hear in my voice when I speak, there's a stillness in me. There's a place of knowing. I know the place of 0 point. There's a calm, gentle power. And many are speaking not from the heart, not in connection with the heart. And you can tell the integrity of the heart based on how someone communicates. You can see if there's a disconnect and it's all mental. And maybe they're super articulate, but this is how you know the disconnect. And there are a lot of people out there who are speaking the words of Ashe and Nadine or Lisa Renee, but they don't have actual gnosis. They have not actually lived it. So, rage, going back to rage being the power source, especially women, we have really been programmed to be these like people pleasers, and we do this in our action, in our interaction with each other. And so, yeah, for a long time, it was always easier for me to be friends with usually gay men, because they didn't want something from me like men, and women were always seeing me as some sort of threat. So the dark feminine in her power is a completely different being than what we have been programmed to think a woman is supposed to look like in her power. Okay, and so there are all kinds of different narratives as to what this is supposed to look like. And there's a new narrative in the new age that makes her out to be this like really pious woman. I mean, this was already done in religion, right? She's totally in control of her emotions in a way that is not really her being connected to her emotions. So there's a difference between feeling rage and knowing how to use that energy as a power source and a catalyst and to alchemize it into your power. Okay. So it's not until someone gets in touch with the depth of suffering here, the depth of suffering in their soul. And not everyone has had the same soul experiences. So this video is directed to a very small percentage of the population. So, yes, those that are actually able to go down to this resonance, to this frequency, and touch it and bring it back and transmute it and alchemize it, this is the true gold. This is the source of our power, is our ability to feel, because emotions are energy. And when we can carry something, when we can hold the frequency of something that is extremely dense, rage, and beyond that would be terror. And those of us that remember our ancient history, way back around the times of Atlantis, when the women were actually taken into breeding programs by the Thoth, Inky, and Lil collective, those of us that have this cellular memory and have actually begun to get in touch with it and go into this rage, this is where we will transmute and alchemize this power, and how we can bring back the true source of the divine feminine. And this is the thing that they are most terrified of, the darker forces. This is the thing that they initially tried to suppress. This is the thing that they initially tried to control. And if you've seen the Wheel of Time show, it is a really gives probably the best explanation of how all this went down, how things used to be. The mage, the oracle, these different names that were given, the witch, okay? So a lot of it has been inverted. Yes, the goddess is a real thing. Okay, so when the alien gods took over and they decided that they were going to make themselves, well, they're not gods, but they made themselves our gods by erasing our memory. When they came in and they did this, they eradicated what it was to be a true goddess or true divine king. And because they did this, we lost connection to that divine spark, our power, the root of what we know. And this is where magic came from. This is where our powers came from. And so, yes, I can say that since my awakening, I have reclaimed, it's been years. I mean, it's about a 10-year process for me. I've reclaimed so much of my power and my abilities, and I know that I still have a long way to go. I still have a lot more to go into, a lot more to open up. I mean, if I did, I wouldn't be here per se. I would know how to open a portal and travel through it or travel through a stargate. I know how to open portals. I know how to transit out entities. I've learned a lot at this point. And this is by me diving into these energies, terror, rage, diving into the history, the truth of what has happened here. And it's layers. And, if someone's not supposed to do it at that point, then they're not supposed to do it. And a lot of people do try to go into this and, they don't make it out. It is a very dangerous process. And this whole thing of ascension, it's presented on a platform to people like it's something, oh, the light has already won and it's just going to happen and you don't have to do anything and you just wait around. When majority of people who are doing this don't really have any clue of the totality of suffering and depravity here on this planet and what has happened in all of the galactic wars since the fallen Lyra. So only when a being is ready to go into the energy signatures of what has actually happened through all these timelines, this is the initiation process of ascension. And the hardest part is going in to the emotions, because you could read the story somewhere, but that's not you knowing it. You know it through the feeling of it. Yeah, and some people can view it. They can get the downloads about it. And those are important. But if you don't feel the energy of it, there's no way you can work your magic again, because then you're still cut off from that aspect of your soul spark. So this is what I teach. I teach others how to actually hold these different really difficult frequencies, and so they can be alchemized, and so one can begin to reclaim their magic. And because I have passed all of these initiations, it's very easy for me to access different timelines. And I understand something about the subtle energies. I'm very perceptive and I can see through everyone. I know exactly when I meet someone where they're at, their history. These are some of the abilities that you gain the more you go into this. And different powers, different things I can do in regards to healing. And so, yeah, there are different aspects that we're all carrying in our templates, different strengths. I mean, some people are going to be really good at like telekinesis stuff. But there's a problem there as well. The dark will find those people who are really good at telekinesis because they have that power too. And then they'll try to recruit them for their team. And this is the war that's really going to go down. But as much as they can do, as much as they can shapeshift, they've figured out ways to hijack moving through stargates and portals. They're very technologically advanced. They use the mind. The one thing that does not allow them to exit totally out of this construct and to Christ consciousness is they don't do the work. They don't feel. They don't go into the heart. The heart is feeling. And so everyone thinks that they can bypass this and get their powers back. And yeah, you could go into the Illuminati. You could learn how to get a lot of your powers. But would you be doing, you would be serving the dark, not serving the light. And so again, this is what I teach. I teach the truth of what was actually accessed in the mystery schools. And I don't remove anything for anyone. And I've talked about this. I teach you how to do it yourself because it's an initiation process. And it's a fail-safe system. No one gets through those gates unless they know how to go up against the dark. They know how to go into this darkness. They have training in the dark arts. They know how to recognize all of these different demonics and hold core. So I want to talk about what happened during the Essene divide. And this is a cellular memory too, when we really felt this deep betrayal within our own community, our own spiritual community, and there was definitely a divide. And you see it now, it's reflected now in the spiritual community, because divide and conquer, that's their favorite tactic. So during the Essene divide, what happened, and some of this information you can access through Asha Nadine and Lisa Renee's material. Some of the information I'm going to give you, I accessed directly myself, and I have not seen this anywhere else. Obviously, there's still a lot of things I cannot talk about, things I need to keep secret. But so what happened during the Essene divide? The Yeshua Christos mission. Yeshua came, he's a blue Syrian being from the future, with this team of other Essenes, guardians, grid workers, his twin flame, Mary Magdalene. And even there, we talk a lot about Yeshua here, but we don't talk about the role of Mary Magdalene and why she is so hated by the darker forces. So when they came, it was their mission to reclaim Giza, the 4th Stargate, and the 11th Stargate in New Grange, and bring back the Law of One teachings. Okay, so this is just a general synopsis, right? You're just hearing the words. But a lot of what they taught cannot be understood through these words, yeah? So Jesus walking on water, levitating, bringing back people from the dead, all those things are true. All of their abilities that they understood, understood, all of that was part of it. Yes, when he was trying to explain to others how all of this works and the different initiation processes. So, yeah, they came with this intention. Akhenaten, who was incarnate about 1,000 years earlier, he left for them in a temple in a city he had created with Nefertiti. He left underneath this temple a set of some information, some instructions for them, things that they would need on their mission. So these guardians that come in at that point, they're still aware of what they're doing. They're still awake about how all this works in the different timelines and how we come in and incarnate, or we are still timeline jumpers and moving through the different dimensions. So again, back to Wheel of Time, it shows you how this actually works. And the power that Mary Magdalene had still, as because she was still traveling, so she's from the future, she's traveling into that timeline, yeah. And then in this current timeline, her and Yeshua are incarnate. And they also incarnated as different guardians throughout different timelines. So Akhenaten, because he was trying to do this, but he was part of the Christos mission. He was also trying to transit out souls from that were trapped here from the Lemurian Holocaust and the Atlantean Cataclysm, and that's when the dark got in. It wasn't necessarily because, yeah, he was not working fully in integrity, and Nefertiti and Kaya, his twin, made dark contracts, and this is why they fell. And he was involved. His ego got the best of him. He was still not completely understanding. It's very easy to get hijacked in this dimension. So he wasn't, because he wasn't acting in integrity and some things happened. And yeah, the dark ripped open a huge wormhole. It was like a massive, destructive process. And then all of these dark entities entered into our realm, and it really effed up the elemental kingdom. So it's so important to know what happened with Akhenaten and the Christos mission and the actual Essene divide, because when they decided to come to retrieve that information, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, and their entire team, this is when they were ambushed by Knights Templar, Dark Templars. And when this happened, this is when we have the divide. So they were not all killed. Yeshua still exited out of a Stargate. But it was at this point, Mary Magdalene also, this is when she began to really fall into the dark. So Mary Magdalene was hijacked. And they did have children. Their children were left with Mary Magdalene's mother, and her mother raised them. So after Yeshua left, Yeshua 9 left, and Mary Magdalene went on with Mother Mary, who did not birth Yeshua in this realm. Okay? She was part of the grid working team. So she came in. So her and Mary, after this, with St. John, the apostle, they fled into hiding. Yeah? And this is when they went to Turkey. So after this is part of the Essene divide. The group kind of split up. There were a lot of disagreements around how everything went down and what needed to happen, and Yeshua leaving and then Mary Magdalene staying. You see the drama. And so St. John, the apostle, who was the best friend of Yeshua, okay? So when he fell and Mary Magdalene, they began a relationship. So the drama here, the telenovela here is crazy. So Mary Magdalene and St. John the Apostle began a romantic relationship for the remainder of her life until she died, until she passed away. And I'm still getting bits to this story, yes, but these are some of the things that I have gotten that I have not read anywhere. So when Mary Magdalene is also, which is interesting, the incarnation is also Nefertiti. So Nefertiti came with Akhenaten, ruled 1,000 years before they came in from the future. I don't know if you can put this together in your head, but this is, again, the Wheel of Time. Watch the series. It will really help you conceptualize how all this works, because a lot of the gods and goddesses are actually just us here, different beings that have played different roles, that have come in, they're more evolved, highest self, come in through the timelines, and then have been seen by the collective that were unconscious at the time as gods and goddesses, just like the negative ones. Yeah, so there were light and there were dark time travelers coming in. And both have guardians as time travelers that are manipulating the timelines throughout. And again, this is how to conceptualize it, because it's a little bit difficult when I'm explaining it to you and you don't have the full story around it. So read the Wheel of Time series, watch the show, and it shows you the power of the divine feminine, the mages, the witches, the oracles, the true ones, not the ones that were taken over, hijacked by the dark, and then forced to work black magic with their powers. Now, a lot of us are basically unconscious, and we're just coming back into our powers again. Yeah, but the dark still knows this, and they have a lot of access to this esoteric wisdom. And so the true power actually still lies in the feminine, but it's been inverted to the dark principle. And this is what runs the Vatican. And this is actually the energy that they're working with when they're working with magic. But unfortunately, it's been inverted. So when we go back to women as well, and I'm going to circle back to the very beginning of this video, reclaiming one's power, okay? So the rage that the feminine feels, the rage that the masculine feels, is often projected. And then with masculine, it's projected into war and violence and aggression. With the feminine, it is so suppressed, and it is projected through manipulation. And until we really get in touch with our emotions, our rage, our terror, all these things, and we allow ourselves to feel it, we won't have this ignition within ourselves to actually change things. And so that is definitely how all of this works. So again, I'm speaking to those few who, if you are ready to dive into this wisdom, you are a brave one, you're at a place in your life where you think you can take this on and you want to be a true warrior and you're actually looking for ascension. This, you feel true ascension is your path and you are ready to do this work of diving into this incredibly dark fucking history, then reach out to me. Schedule a session with me. I have some other things in the work. I'm going to be creating a Patreon where I will give details from the front lines, very secretive information, more in depth than I can here. I will be sharing more about how this works, how spiritual warfare works, the different ways you can protect yourself, how to move through this from my own perspective. I'll be sharing more on that through Patreon. So if you want to continue to support my work, I think I should be releasing it the beginning of next month. I'll give you a date on that. But if you want to support my work, it's going to be like a $7 fee. Would really appreciate it. I still have to make a living in this 3D world and try to continue to do the work that I'm here to do. So, yes, I'll be doing that. I'm trying to create a course, an online course. And then, yes, I am, for those who are really serious and really want to be initiated into what is carried from the galactic core, the 0 point CDT plates. This is what I specialize in, how to reach 0 point and access lifetimes and move the energy so you can use that energy for a multitude of things. So I'm speaking to those who are here in service of the light, who are warriors. Yeah, if you want to know how this actually works, the only way you're going to learn is through booking a session with me and, yeah, watching my videos so you can get familiar with some of the terms and things that I use and I talk about. So again, I look forward to working with you and till next time.